I've been covering Hip City Veg all year. I've been seeing all of your news. It's been exciting. This year you guys did $15 an hour minimum wage. You across all of your restaurants, and that includes Philadelphia, where the minimum wage is hovering around 7 something an hour. Scary enough. And then you also are growing. You're almost doubling in size by February of next year, I believe. So that's a lot of news for 1 year.
It definitely is. It's been quite a wild ride the past few years, for sure.
So what is it like, growing a company like that? You guys have a very clear mission. You're living your mission. What is it like to grow a company like that?
Oh, well, it's exciting, it's challenging, but I think what makes it really worth it and keeps us going is our strong mission. We truly believe that plant-based foods is the future. And I believe that we can save the world by eating more veggie burgers. My concept in creating Hip City Veg was to serve food that was familiar to people, like the fast food most of us, including me, grew up on, so that people would actually give it a try. I insisted from the beginning that our food had to compete and win against traditional foods solely on the basis of taste and satisfaction. So people would crave it and come back. And most of our guests are not vegetarian or vegan. They come because they love the taste and the way they feel after eating it. And that really creates loyalty and leads right back to our mission. As a single mom with a 4-year-old son, I want to do everything I can do to preserve and protect our planet so that he'll be able to enjoy all the same beautiful things that I have. And I'm really hoping that with the looming climate crisis, we can reflect on the devastating effect that animal agriculture and factory farming have had on the world, and how inefficient they are, and how extensive their contribution is to climate change. And I think over time, the effects of climate change are going to have an even more profound effect on our business and our lives than the coronavirus. So, like I said, I believe we can save the world one plant-based burger at a time, especially when people realize that eating our smokehouse burger and our crispy Hip City Ranch sandwich are just as delicious, if not more so, than those made with animal products. And they're definitely better for you and for the planet. So it's a triple win. And we can have a profound effect on the world and our health with each and every meal.
And how do you educate people on that? I mean, education is sometimes the hardest part, and the part that some people rebel against. They're like, I just want to eat. But education is so important. I mean, we need to learn these things, that the earth is dying. We need to learn these really important things. So how do you educate people on that?
It's a really great question. But what I learned when I was living with my mom and my dad after college, my father's health was declining. He was in his 50s. He was a little overweight. He had just been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. He was on medication for blood pressure and was just feeling sick. And I said, Poppy, you have to eat more fruits and veggies in your diet. And it works. Trust me. He said, he's a nurse practitioner. He said, no, this is just genetics. I said, give it a try. So I made him a green smoothie, the same one we serve today at Hip City Veg. It's spinach, banana, apples, and pineapple. And for him, he's a meat and potatoes guy. So when he drank that and could enjoy a whole cup of spinach, it kind of blew his mind. He said, all right, I'll give it a try. Well, what happened in 2 months was utterly remarkable. He was able to get off all of his blood pressure medication, lose 25 pounds, and put his type 2 diabetes into remission for some time. So that was a miracle for our family. What I realized at that point is that I have to make this food taste really, really good, and it has to be super convenient and affordable. That's what's going to change people's minds. I was trying to preach to my dad for years about eating better, and it just didn't hit him. But once I made him really good food and made it easy for him to eat it, he said, okay, I can do this. So that's what we do at Hip City Veg. We really take familiar, classic American favorites like burgers, chicken nuggets, milkshakes, French fries, and we make it in a way that just happens to be plant-based, but still delicious.
I love that it just happens to be plant-based,
Yeah.
that's such a great way to describe it. Now, you guys are growing, capital G.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about the growth strategy? It's so exciting. I mean, you're coming to New York. I'm in New York, so I'm very excited for that Union Square location. Uh, so can you tell me a little bit about this growth strategy and what it's like to be growing so rapidly?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, after a pretty brutal 20 months or more, we are just so excited to be back to our growth. Within a 6-month period, we will double our locations from 7 to 15 locations, including entering the most exciting and competitive market in the world, New York City. So we are also expanding in our current markets in Philadelphia and in Washington, D.C., but we're super excited to be in Union Square, New York City right now. And with this expansion, we are entering new markets. We're entering mixed income areas in all of our current markets because we want to make it easy for people to get our food no matter what zip code they live in. Our success in these markets will lead to a lot more growth in 2022 and beyond. And we want to be able to get our food to people faster and fresher. And we can do that more quickly with a hybrid Go Kitchen growth model. So our expansion model pairs brick and mortar stores like our new flagship store in Union Square, New York City, with what we call Go Kitchens, which are virtual only delivery and pickup locations. We in Queens and in Brooklyn, so we can introduce our delicious vegan burgers and crispy nuggets to people in more neighborhoods right from the start. The delivery Go Kitchens will not replace brick and mortar stores. It's super important that we have that guest experience where our guests can interact with our brand, really know who we are, get to understand the vibe of Hip City Veg. So first and foremost, we're going to expand our brick and mortar stores, but there's a great opportunity right now to deliver to more zip codes wherever we are because more people are in their homes. We saw a dramatic shift last year from in-store pickup sales to online order and delivery sales. Almost half of our sales are delivery now. That's a dramatic shift from 2019 when only 10 to 15% of our sales were delivery. So the pandemic has changed so many things, and I think it's definitely changed the way people get their food and want their food delivered fresh, fast, uber convenience, I call it. So we're taking advantage of this moment and making it easier for people to eat vegan.
And so let's move on to one of the bigger discussions, this $15 an hour minimum wage. That's kind of almost becoming table stakes now, but people haven't done it everywhere, which is interesting. They say it's table stakes. You need to be paying $15 an hour, but a lot of places still aren't. And it was still a big deal when you did it. So the minimum wage in Philadelphia was $7.20 an hour, I believe, $7.25 an hour, something
That's
around
right.
there. It's scary because it's
Yeah.
not livable. That's certainly not a livable wage. But in New York and Philadelphia and Washington, D.C., minimum wage is $15 an hour. So you were really raising your home base where you're from, the heart of your operations. You were raising it for those people. What was it like to really make that big change?
Yeah, well, just before the current labor shortage, we decided to take the lead on setting higher wages for our team because it is good for people and good for business. In fact, we think we were the first fast casual chain in the country to raise our starting minimum wage to $15 an hour for the entire company in all cities. We're calling it 15 for our families, and it is an important step toward growing our company and our culture And in some ways, we say it's building the world we want to live in. And I think most importantly, communicating through our actions how much we value those who helped us get through the pandemic and continue to contribute to our success. So, despite the intense economic hardship that's hit the restaurant industry and our workers over the past couple of years, we just knew it was the right time for us. We believe it's not only the right thing to do for our workers who have been through so much, but it is also good for business and will help with recruiting and retention. We are building our company's leaders from within, which is so important, especially as we grow. We want our team to know that we can offer careers, not just jobs, and that includes benefits like health and dental and paid vacation. We are all more successful when we invest in each other. And it always reminds me, and I tell this story a lot because I just adore one of our managers, Rodney Sanders. And it's a story that I love so much because I want to repeat it over and over. Rodney started as a line cook with us in Philadelphia at $11 an hour. And he had so much talent and passion and work ethic. We quickly raised him to $15 an hour and gave him additional responsibilities as a shift supervisor. And what happened was amazing. He felt that we invested in him. So he then invested right back into our company and soon became an assistant manager and then a general manager, then moved to DC to open our new store in DC, and soon will be a regional manager when we start to expand south. That's a success story that I want to keep saying and repeating over and over and over again. And it can happen in the restaurant industry. It actually happens all the time. There's incredible growth opportunity, and we want our employees to know that they can have a real career with us. And so 15 for our families is a way to start that journey. If you pay $15 an hour, it gives the employee a starting point to really launch their career.
That's so great. And so, you talk about for your family. And so what are some of the things that you hope for the future of your Hip City Veg family?
Well, we are seeing so many people interested in eating at least one plant-based meal a day. And when that one plant-based meal is truly delicious, it can open people's minds to eating 2 or 3 plant-based meals a day. So with the urgency around the climate crisis finally hitting home for more people, they realize that every meal is also an opportunity to have a lower impact on the planet while also doing something better for their health. People love eating our food, and they also want to spend their money with a business that aligns with their values. So I think with our affordable and craveable plant-based foods and the new growth model we have, we'll plan to continue our expansion first regionally and then across the country and ultimately internationally. We have a mission-driven and woman-led team that has proven time and again, especially over the last couple of years, that we can absolutely do anything we set out to do, no matter how huge the obstacles are. And we simply don't give up. With the pandemic, the labor shortage, the supply chain issues, there's hardly a day that doesn't have major challenges right now. But we always find a way through as a team. So I know we'll be successful with this expansion too. And I'm most proud of the team camaraderie and the leadership that we have in the company right now. I want to see more of that. I want us to all continue to grow and benefit from the company's growth and to fulfill our ultimate mission of bringing delicious plant-based meals to people everywhere.